What is up, you guys? It's Reptileworks Aquatics here. Well, in this video I wanted to update you guys on one other thing. You might notice last video updated, I bought the Jungle Jag. Well, I've bought something else again, so this time around, this kind of little project of mine, I bought this adult male central bearded dragon. And yeah, he is actually a really nice lizard, but the reason I say he's a bit of a project of mine is, okay, I got him really cheap because the previous people that had him the previous people I got him from, before they bought him into the store I bought him from, they didn't handle him pretty much ever. So he's very wild, he's not used to being handled, he's very nervous and quite defensive. So my little project, yeah, he's kind of not even overly comfortable sitting on my hand here. You can see he's opening his mouth up now, but he's yeah, he's opening his mouth up now. As you can see, he's not used to being handled at all. Mind you, he's getting better already. Oop. As I said, he tries to get away. Sit it down, sit it down. Just let him run it out, I guess. You done? Oop. As you can see, yeah, he's quite defensive and quite timid. Because yeah, his previous owners never handled him at all, so he's just not used to human contact. He's not used to things like being held or being physically touched. He's not used to the sound of my voice or just general noises that are made by people. Even just my hand gestures and movements around him, he's not used to that, so he's just very skittish. So my little project is to get him tame, and I'm going to keep you guys updated on that. I'll upload a video every few weeks or so, documenting and showing his progress. But I'm quite confident I can get him tame again and he can be a wonderful pet. Yeah, so I'm really happy with him. It doesn't bother me in the slightest bit that he's a little aggressive, because I know that will go away once I handle him for a while. So that's my little project for the next few weeks or the next few months, or however long it takes, I suppose, to get this guy used to me and used to being handled. And I'm also doing this to prove a point with buying a reptile or even some other sort of animal as a pet, just because they're a bit nervous around people or they're not used to people, so therefore they're not overly social or not used to being handled, or whatever the case. Doesn't mean that they can't make a wonderful pet and you shouldn't give them a home. I mean, this guy was the lizard that no one wanted in this shop. He'd been there for a very long time. He'd even been moved from the main shop display area to a tank in the back room where no one can see him, because he was being all defensive and puffing out his throat and opening his mouth up and displaying his mouth to everyone that came up to the tank. So they moved him into the back room so no one could even see him. So his chances of getting a home were slim to none. So but that's why I got him so cheap. So but I thought he is, regardless of his temperament, he's a really nice lizard. And bearded dragons aren't the most difficult lizard in the world to get used to, so I'm pretty confident that I can tame him down. Where'd you go? Okay, I'm back. Got him back. Yeah, he jumped down the side of the bed, so I had to kind of fish him out. But he's trying to run away again. Settle down, settle down. Come on, that's right. Okay. So yeah, as I was saying, there's no reason why a lizard like this can't make a great pet. I mean, yeah, it's a bit aggressive, but if you put some time and effort into handling it regularly, hand feeding it, just interacting with it, it'll get used to you. And it'll tame down just like any bearded dragon will. So yeah, I saw him and I'm like, yeah, I don't care, you're aggressive, I'm going to take you anyway. you need a home. So, and on that note, with bearded dragon husbandry, they're also a really great lizard to start with, and you'll see that when I tame this guy down, how wonderful he can be. But as far as this general setup goes and general maintenance, it's very easy. A 3 foot by 2 foot by 2 foot aquarium is fine for a single bearded dragon. You can go bigger if you want to have more than one. They are fine in groups. You have one male and a couple of females, they do quite well. 2 males sometimes fight, so you gotta be careful with that one though. They are a desert lizard, so they like it quite warm, so you want the warmer end of the tank with the basking lamp. You want the basking spot to be 30 to 35 degrees Fahrenheit. Celsius. Sorry, you guys all on YouTube confuse me with your Fahrenheit and Celsius. Like, people comment stuff and they say Fahrenheit, and I keep thinking that. No, 35 degrees Celsius. So 30 to 35 degrees Celsius, you want the basking spot to be, and the cooler end of the tank, you want it to be between 25 and 28 degrees. Yes, they are a desert lizard, so they do like it relatively warm. They do climb a bit, so you want some climbing branches, some thick logs or thick climbing branches, or even those like universal rock, those fake rock inserts you can get. That's what this guy's got, a big fat log that kind of goes up, and he'll sit on top of that and bask. Bowl of water in the cool end of the tank, which you change regularly so it doesn't get dirty, like every day you change your water. With diet, these are very easy lizards to feed. They're not fussy eaters, they'll eat virtually anything. So they're completely omnivorous. They'll eat vegetables, they'll eat fruit, they'll eat insects, so they're not fussy. I mean, you can give them mixed lettuces, like you buy the bag of just mixed lettuces, they'll eat that, they'll eat cucumber, they'll eat carrot, celery, they'll eat herbs like parsley for example. Yeah, they'll eat apple, grapes, strawberries, bananas, blueberries. They love their fruits. Steer clear of things like oranges though, because all that really citrusy stuff, it gives them the runs, so you don't really want to give them too much of that. You want majority of their diet to be more vegetable, a little bit of fruit here and there as a treat, and they get the protein side of their diet will come from crickets and wood roaches and mealworms and superworms, which you will dust in calcium and vitamin powder. You can also dust some of that powder on their food. Feed them every second, every third day, and that's really it, to be honest. I mean, other than that, standard setup for a lizard, UVB light as well for their vitamin D, and that is really it. Settle down. So yeah, they're a great lizard to start with. They live about 10 to 15 years. This is about fully grown. This is a full-grown male. The females, I've seen some females about this size, but generally they're a little smaller. But it depends on what type of bearded dragon you have. There's a few different types out there. So some do get a bit bulkier than others. This one is a Centralian bearded dragon. They're one of the larger ones. And yeah. But yeah, I will keep you guys updated on his progress, on just how he's going with handling and taming him down and all that sort of stuff, because I reckon he'll be fine. I reckon in a few weeks from now he'll be a completely different lizard. He'll be used to me handling him. He won't run away, he won't get all defensive and open his mouth up and try to bite like that. He won't puff his throat out. He's just looking right at me. Yep, he wants to bite me. He's looking right at my nose. He's following my eyes. I'm going to push my limit there because they do have pretty sharp teeth. He hasn't bitten me yet. It's all just been defensive. Like, he's just opening up his mouth and puffing up and yeah, running away. He hasn't actually bitten me. When I've gone to grab him, he's opened his mouth up and stuff. Mind you, I haven't actually put my finger near his mouth, but he hasn't actually lunged forward and tried to bite like some lizards would. So that tells me that he's not an aggressive lizard. He's just defensive. It's completely different. An aggressive animal is something that will attack you. You can give it some space, but it will basically come at you and attack you. That's usually down to a territorial response. Animals get aggressive when they're being territorial. You enter their territory. I'm not talking about bearded dragons necessarily, I'm just talking certain other species of animals in general that are territorial. Like a lot of you guys that watch my videos know I do a lot of aquarium stuff as well. Fish are very territorial, some fish at least are. Like a lot of your cichlid species are quite territorial, they'll attack other fish. And that's not a defensive thing, that's territorial. It's physically chasing other fish around and attacking it. And a lot of other territorial species of animals do it too, but my point is this guy is defensive, he's not aggressive. So defensive meaning unless I push his boundaries, you know, he's not going to do anything. He's not going to bite me, he's not going to attack me or anything. He's just afraid, that's all it is. He is not used to me, he's not used to people. He's scared, so when I get too close, like when I put my hand, you know, I was not going to do it now, but he's opening his mouth up. When I touch him and he's not used, he's never been touched before, so he gets scared, he doesn't know what's going to happen, so he just opens his mouth up as a defense mechanism. It's just a reflex, I suppose. He isn't actually attacking me. It's not like he has a problem with me being in the same vicinity as him and he wants to chase me out of the area. Yeah, he's just doesn't want to be touched, really. So, like, that's what I mean. Bearded dragons are quite peaceful lizards. Once, you know, in captivity, they're quite peaceful. They're easily handled. They're very placid. They don't run away. They don't bite. It's just because this guy's lack of handling from his previous owners. It's just, yeah, he's almost a wild lizard in a way. So I got to work on this, and I will keep you guys updated as to how he goes. You can see why they call them bearded dragons too. Under his throat, if you'll hold still for 2 seconds. Okay, nope, and he's off again. Sit still. Come on. 2 seconds. 2 seconds. There we go. Stop. Okay. So you can see why they call them bearded dragons. Right there. See this beard under his throaty? Puffs it out. That's their main defense. They'll do that to make themselves look bigger and more aggressive, basically. So something in the wild tries to attack a bearded dragon, they'll either run, because they can run reasonably fast, but their main defense is to hold their ground, open up their mouth, puff up that beard, hiss a bit, and it's just meant to make them look bigger and tougher and a bit more scary. And on top of that, if you look here, they've also got spikes all around the back of his head here, on the sides, across the top. It's like a triangle of spikes going across the top of his head there. They're quite tough spikes. I mean, they're not razor sharp or anything like that, but you know, they're quite tough. And that's basically protecting his neck, because that's the vulnerable area in pretty much all animals. So he's got these spikes protecting his neck, so if something tries to grab him by the head or grab his neck, they'll get a mouthful of spikes. Their whole body's quite spiky though. Their belly, on the other hand, is rather soft. No spikes there. They're not an overly arboreal species. I mean, they're not the sort of lizard you'd expect to find hundreds of meters, like, you know, 50 meters up in a tree or something, like you would a frilled-necked dragon, for example. But then again, they're not. I guess they're semi-terrestrial or semi-arboreal. I don't know. I mean, they're found on the ground a lot. They're found off the ground, but not too high. Like maybe just on like a pile of rocks. I'll be sitting on that, or on a fallen tree or something. They'll be a couple of meters off the ground on a fallen log, or just maybe a lot of the time they'll sit completely vertical on a tree, just on the side of the tree, but they'll only be maybe 2 or 3 meters off the ground. They won't be too high, so they're not a huge climbing sort of lizard. They just climb a little bit. That's because of their build. For a dragon, I mean, they don't have the most agile build to them. If you look at a bearded dragon, very wide, flat body, and very short legs for the size of their body. So, and then when you look at a true arboreal dragon, like for example a Boyd's forest dragon or an angle-faced dragon, they've got a very slim body and very long muscular legs, and especially their back toes are much longer, and they have much longer claws too. Their tail is also a lot longer. They're just designed for life in the trees. Even the fact they've got a much longer neck, they've got more flexibility as to how they can rotate their head around. Because up on a tree they can be vertical, they can be this way, they can be that way. They need to be able to rotate their head around all different angles to get a good vantage point from whatever angle they're sitting in up in the trees. These guys are on the ground. They don't got to worry about what's in front and around them. They're not looking up, down, left, right, all over the place like a arboreal species would be. So they're not designed for a true arboreal life. I mean, they can climb, but they're not. As far as dragons go with climbing, these guys are kind of clumsy in comparison to true arboreal lizards. They're quite a heavy set dragon. They do better on the ground or just climbing larger things like mounds of rocks or fallen logs and stuff like that. They're not going to be climbing up through the canopy on thin branches or anything. So I'm thinking once I get this guy tame, possibly buy him a female, try and get some babies maybe. But we'll see how that goes. I mean, my collection is getting quite big, so I don't know, I really like him. He's so cute. Had a bit of dragons many times, and it's been so long since I've had them, I've kind of missed having them around, so when I saw this guy and found out how, I'm wondering why he was so cheap and why he was in the back room, and they told me because he was just really aggressive and no one wanted him, I thought I'll take him. I can fix that. So, yeah. Anyways, I'm going to chuck him back in his enclosure because I don't want to handle him too long because he isn't quite used to it yet, but I'll keep you guys updated on his progress. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next vid. See ya.